Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So in today's tutorial we're going to continue with our Django inventory management system series. So in this tutorial we're going to go ahead and learn about template and template inheritance in Django. So I'm actually in my project right now. So if I do an ls, I'm in my project directory. If I do an ls, you can see I have that project directory right there. So let's go ahead and activate the virtual environment, and to do so you just have to say source and then /activate, and this is going to activate our virtual environment for us. So I'm going to clear the terminal and I'm going to open up my Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to type in a code and then press enter. In your case, you can just go ahead and open up your favorite text editor and that will work for you. Okay, so let's just wait for this to open. So now that the Visual Studio Code has already opened up, we can go to our project directory, which is inventory system. You just click on it, and then you can see here we have these two apps installed here. So first of all, what you want to do is that you want to go into inventory system, and what you want to do in there, you want to go into the settings file. In the settings file, we need to set something so that our project, we can set at our project templates. Okay, so just click on settings, and this will bring you to the setting page. And if that's done, you have to scroll down until you see the section written template. So it is part right here. So what you want to do is that you have to go into, it's a dictionary, right? A list of a dictionary. So you have to go into a browse, and browse here, this is what you want to modify. So I want to pass in here a tuple. So I just pass in here a tuple. And what you want to do in here, we simply want to say that I want to say os.path. Don't worry about OS, we import it just in a second. So os.path.join, so we want to join, and then we want to pass in the base dar. So if you don't know what the base dar is, I will just explain to you just in a second. So base, this is base dar, and then you can we want to join base dar with templates, just like that. So we want to call it templates. So templates with an s. Okay, so now we want to import this. So what this is simply do is just going to specify the path to our templates directory. So at our template, this is going to be a template directory that you're going to create in the root of our project, and you're going to use that to store our template HTML files. So base dar is just the root directory of our project. So you're joining the base dar with a folder called templates that you're going to create just in a moment. So that's where our template folders can be found. Now in here we need to import OS because it's not imported. So I can just go here and then say import OS. So that's all we need to do. So you can see this is the base dar, and this returns to the root directory of our project, and you're just joining the root directory with a template with a folder called templates. So let's go ahead and actually create that folder right here. So I'm just going to go in here, and then I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to call it templates, just like that, and press enter. So this is going to create for us our root template. Okay, great. Now that's done, let me just go into our template and let's create a template called layout.html. So I'm going to create a file called layout.html, and just press enter. So in this layout.html, that's where we're going to store the basic our base template that other templates can inherit from. So let me just show you how we're going to do that. So I'm just going to create a simple HTML file in here. So I'm just going to simple HTML template. I'm going to press this. I'm just going to press exclamation and press enter. If you're using VS Code, if you're not, then you have to type all this manually, or I don't know what's the shortcut for the text editor that you are using. So now that you have done that created, let's go ahead and actually go ahead and actually bring in the CDN for Bootstrap and other templates so we can inherit from this template. But before we do that, let's just go ahead and create a folder here, and this folder is going to be called we can call it inventory_system. So I'm going to call a folder here and call it inventory_system. So then just press enter, and this is going to create a folder for us called inventory system. Let's folder will come to use it just in a second, but for this this template right here, we can go ahead and actually customize this a bit. So we can just actually place in here you can place in tags that you can inherit from. So what I'm simply going to do, I'm going to create a simple blog content here. So I'm going to call it blog content. I'm going to explain to you just in a second. So I'm going to call it blog content excuse me, and I'm going to end blog. So I'm going to create a blog content, and I'm simply going to end blog. Okay, so what this is going to do is going to specify a template that our other HTML files can inherit. So now that we have that set up, I'm going to create a simple code block here, a code block that our other templates can inherit from. So I'm just going to explain to you this once I'm done. So I'm going to create a block here. I'm going to call it block content, and then I'm going to end that block content right here. So I'm going to go ahead and actually end I'm going to end block. Okay, make sure I get the spelling right. I'm going to end block. So this is going to be a content that our other templates can inherit from, and whatever that template contains will be placed in between these two tags. So every other thing here will be inherited. So let me just explain to you this. I'm going to go into inventory _ system folder, and I'm going to create a template called index.html. Okay, press enter then. So sorry, I'm going to keep this in this should be, so let me just change the name of this, and this should be inventory. Okay, I'm going to call that folder inventory, and I'm going to store in something called index. And I saw that whatever I'm going to put inside of this folder is going to be placed inside of this block content. Now, how do we inherit from this folder? Okay, how do we inherit all of this other stuff from this folder? Now that's what I'm going to teach you just right now. So to do that, you just have to say code block, and then say percentage signs, and then space, and then say extends, and then you specify the file that you extend. So I'm going to extend layout.html, and layout.html is inside in one directory back. So I have to say /layout.html. So let me just get the spelling right, html. So now that you have specified that, you're just going to go ahead and actually copy this and then bring it here, paste it here. So whatever we put in here will be inherited and be placed in here, and every other thing here will be inherited. Okay, so this just specifies to Django that you want to use this as a template, and you're going to override the whatever is going to be inside of the block content, which is whatever is going to be inside here, right? You're going to override it and place whatever we want to do. Let's say we want to place a h2 tag in here, but the h2 tag is going to come from index.html file. So you have to come in here and then say, and then just use a percentage sign, then h2, and then you say let's just say hello world from index. Okay, so let's just say hello world from index, and then that's all we're going to do. So now that we have done that, how do we display our templates? So I'm going to now go into my inventory system folder, and I'm going to go into my URLs. So in my URLs, now we do not refer to this app instead of our URL. We need to refer to this app instead of our URL. So what you're simply going to do is going to say path, and you're going to say it's going to be called, you're not going to specify the path. You're going to call this we're going to call this include. Now we need to import another library from here. We need to import include, and then you're going to bring include here, and you're going to say include, and then you're going to say inventory, which is the name of that folder, inventory, and you're going to do .urls. So inventory.urls is what we want to include inside of this part here. So if a person goes to the root directory, you want to include inventory.urls. So in here, we want to go into inventory. We can see we don't have that urls file, so we have to go ahead and actually create it. We're going to call it urls dot, forgive my typing today, urls.py, just like that, and press enter. Now if you go into your inventory system, you can see you already have a urls file in there. So I'm going to go ahead and actually copy that urls. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to go to my urls file that I just created right now, which is in inventory app, and I'm going to paste that over there. So now that I have that pasted there, I'm going to paste that over there, and I'm going to now remove all of this since I don't need it, and I'm going to also remove this right here. So I'm just going to leave the path import right there. So I'm going to delete also this, and I'm going to delete this as well, and I'm going to delete, let me just delete all of this and start from scratch. So inside of our urls.py in our inventory folder, what you're going to do is you're going to type the different URLs that can be accessed from our view. Okay, and the different URLs, each URL will return a different template. Okay, so I'm simply going to go into my URLs. Before I come back here and show you something, I'm going to go into my URLs, and in my URLs I'm going to go ahead and actually create a simple I'm going to call a simple path. Okay, I'm going to create a simple function. It's going to import request. And what you're going to do here is simply going to return a template. So we're going to say return render, and then you're going to pass in your request. This type of time I explained to you. Now after passing a request, now we want to provide the path to the request folder that you want to return. Basically, you want to provide the path to the HTML file that you want to return. Now I want to return index.html, so I have to go into this folder. So the template folder will be automatically located. So now what you have to do, you have to provide the directory or the path inside of that template folder. Okay, so this is going to be inventory / and it's going to be called index.html. The reason why we only have to provide this is that Django will automatically locate the templates folder, so we don't have to provide the path to the template folder. We don't have to provide the path to the folders and files inside of the template folder. So great. So we're going to go to inventory / index. That's what we're going to return. Right now, how do we import this in our URL? So I have to go to your URLs. Let's say from .views import, I'm going to import index. Okay, and I'm going to now return how do I return the index parameter here? So I'm going to say index function, rather I'm going to say path, and I'm going to specify the path of that row. So I'm going to leave it as a base path, and I'm going to provide its path here. And now what you simply have to provide in here is just the name of that function. So I'm going to say index, and then you can provide in a name if you wish, and then you can say maybe sorry, this is going to be index, and then I'm going to say index, just like that. That's all we need to do. So now whenever a person, let me explain to you how this happens. So if a person goes to our root directory, the inventory.urls is going to be called, and it's going to go inside of this folder, and in this folder we are saying the root path. So you're going to go to root, and then it's going to return the index file, and the index file is going to go into it's going to view this, and it's going to render our inventory / index. And in the index function, what we're simply going to render, we're going to render a template called index.html, and index.html is going to go in here, and it's going to extend layout.html. So it's going to go to layout.html, it's going to copy everything, which all this CSS, all this HTML stuff, and it's going to embed this in between this block tag here. So it's going to simply return a hello world. Okay, so now let me just save this, and then let's go back to our terminal, and in our terminal I'm simply going to start my development style. So I'm going to say ls, I'm going to change my directory into inventory system, and I'm going to do python 3 manage.py, then I'm saying run server. So you just press enter, and it's going to start our development server running at localhost at port 8000. So if you go to the browser, you just type in localhost : just like this, localhost : and then 8000. So if you go to the browser, just going to bring up my browser, I'm going to type in here localhost : 8000, and press enter. What this is simply going to do is simply we're getting a template error. So we're saying layout doesn't exist. So I made a typo there, you can see that's typo. So let me just go back to my this is actually layout. Let me save that, and I can go back and check that out. So refresh that, you can see it is getting hello world from index. So that's how we can simply return a simple index file, a simple template file. So what we did is that first of all, we created layout.html, and we created a block content that is going to be inherited by other templates, and we're going to create an index file that inherited the layout.html file and inherited and overridden the content of the block content section, this one, and simply placed in the hello world. And now we want to register our URLs. So we went to first our inventory system, which is our main app, and then in there we have included the root directory. In the root directory we have included inventory.urls, and in inventory.urls we went ahead and created a file called urls, because that inventory.urls was not initially there. So we went to create inventory.urls, and inventory.urls we have simply said it's going to return the root directory is going to return index, which is a function, and we went to views and we written that function, and that function simply return an index, return inventory /html, which is this template right there. So that's how we do template inheritance in Django. So now more about the URLs and the other stuff, I know we'll talk more about them as we go along. So now that's how template inheritance works in Django. So let's go ahead and actually go to I'm going to go to bootstrap, and I'm going to go to bootstrap, and I'm going to just going to go to bootstrap, and I'm going to just go here and then just type in bootstrap. So go into your browser and type search for bootstrap, and then bootstrap is just a CSS library that helps us to make our our designs and other stuff without having to write our own CSS. So it saves us a lot of time. And in this tutorial, I'm going to use Bootstrap because this tutorial is not more about CSS or JavaScript or anything like that. It's just about Django and how Django works and how to understand Django at a fundamental level to create an inventory management system. So I'm going to be using Bootstrap to help us to deal with the CSS. So Bootstrap is a CSS JavaScript library. So you can just press enter, and it's going to go to the Bootstrap official page. Click on get started, and if you click on get started, you can see the link here. So we're going to copy this CSS link, and you're going to go into our templates. I'm going to go to our layout. You're going to go ahead and actually paste that right here. That's how we paste that. We can paste that right there, and then you can go ahead and actually get the other link. So you can go ahead and actually get this other link, and you can go ahead and paste it right here just before the end of the closing body. We can paste that right there. And then let me just format this a bit. So I'm going to indent this. So now that we have all that set up, now our template is going to be using a Bootstrap. So we can go to the head and go to the home page and try to refresh. You can see our template, our indexing has changed a bit. That shows that Bootstrap is now running. Okay, so now what you want to do, let me just show you how to write a dynamic URL. Let's say that you want the title to change based upon what is being provided, right? You want the title to change based upon which page you are on. So we can actually write some conditions in here. Okay, so let me just tab this a bit down. So I'm just going to tab this a bit down, and I'm going to write that logic right here. So what you're going to do to write logic, you have to say code block and then %2% signs, and you write your logic inside there. So I'm going to say if title, and then you're going to go ahead and end the if. So this is just some Bootstrap, some Jinja 2 template code. So you're going to say end if. Okay, so when you start the if statement, you have to end if. Now I also want an else in here, so I have to say else. So I think if there is a title, what you want to do, we're going to now render title, and then you're going to say in here, we're going to say title. So I'm going to use 2 curly braces signs, and then in here I'm going to provide in title. So 2 curly braces sign is used to refer to variables. So in here I'm going to refer to a variable called title, and that variable we're going to provide it just in a second. Else you're going to say here, I'm just going to copy this and just copy and paste it here, and I'm just going to tab this over, and I'm simply going to just say we can say IMS inventory management system. So if there is a title provided, use that title. So you can say I can say IMS and then hyphen and then that title. Okay, so you can say IMS hyphen and then that title. If there's no title, we're just going to return IMS. Okay, so now if I go back to my page and I go to my page and then I refresh, you can see the title of that page is going to be IMS, and it's right here. You can just see it's going to be IMS. Okay, now what if I provide a title, and how do I provide a title? So let's go back to our template here, and then in here we can provide in a dictionary, we can provide in a context. So I'm going to go ahead and provide in a context, and this is going to be just a dictionary. So I'm going to create a dictionary here, and I'm going to go ahead and say title, and the title is just going to be you can just say, I can just go ahead and say index page. Now that I provide that there, I can come down here and just say context, and then just say context is going to be context that you have just said up here. So context is going to be this context right here. So if I go back to our page, we have the context, and this context has title, and the title is going to be index page. So if I go back to my page and then I refresh, you can say IMS, and then you can see index page, IMS hyphen and then index page. So that's how you can create some dynamic URLs. So now let's go ahead and actually add a navigation bar and other stuff to our project. So I'm going to go ahead and then search for nav bar. So I'm going to say nav bar. Okay, I'm going to go to nav bar documentation, and you can see we have some couple of navigation bars right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually go for the simplest navigation bar. So I think this one is fine, so I'm just going to copy this. Then we can go back to our layout.html. The reason why I'm pasting it in our layout.html is that we want every template to be able to inherit this. So I'm going to paste it right here. So I'm going to paste it right there, and then I'm going to go ahead and actually make it to be dark. So I'm going to change that to be dark, and I'm going to change it to be dark. Okay, I want it to be dark. And then I can remove all of this. I don't need any of this, so I can just go ahead and remove all of this li stuff. I'm going to remove all of them, so make sure I clear that properly. I'm going to remove also this. So this all we have, we just have home and then stuff like that. So we're going to leave that there, and then I'm going to go back to my home page, and I'm going to now refresh. Now you can see we have a navigation bar right there. So that's how we can create a navigation bar, and this navigation bar is responsive. So when I go to inspect, this navigation bar is actually going to be responsive. So if I press, you can see that navigation bar is responsive. So that's how we can work with that navigation bar from Bootstrap without having to actually create a lot of code. So now that is working fine. I want to now give a bit of styling to my page here. Instead of just returning block content, I'm going to remove that from there, and I'm going to call this, I'm going to call it main, and then I'm going to call it main. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to have a div here. This is going to have a class of container dash fluid, and don't worry, this is some Bootstrap classes, so don't worry about them. So in this container dash fluid, it's just going to give some dynamic, you're just going to use it for making a grid system in Bootstrap. So I'm going to create a row here, and this row I'm going to now give it I'm going to create a row here, and instead of this row div, and I'm going to instead of this row div, I'm going to have the following div. So I'm going to have call, I'm going to have a div that is going to have call dash md, going to have call md1, and then press enter. I'm going to now have that call, and I'm going to have another call here. I'm going to have another column. It's going to be dot call hyphen md, and then hyphen 10. That's call. I'm going to have that call right there. Press enter, and this is going to fill it for us. And I'm going to have another column here, and it's going to be dot call dash hyphen md, and I'm going to give it 1. So press enter. Now I'm not going to explain to you this Bootstrap stuff, but this is just creating a row, and each row has a different columns, okay? And this column has 10 of the, because the Bootstrap columns are divided into 12, and then the main column is going to be the column in the middle, and it's going to have 10 a space of 10, while the other ones have a space of 1 on the side, just to give it a bit of kind of padding to our page, right? So now here I'm going to also pass in some class. I'm going to call there's going to be call, this is covering my view, call dash sm. I'm going to give it a call sm. I'm going to give it 12, and I'm going to have call xm, and I'm going to give it a value of 12. So this is some Bootstrap classes, and I'm not going to explain to you Bootstrap stuff. If you want to study Bootstrap, you can go ahead on the link and actually study there. So instead of the middle tag, that's where we're going to have our block content. So I'm going to go ahead and actually paste our block content in here. So whatever our other templates are going to be placing is going to be right here in between this column block, the middle block. So I'm going to go to my website, then press refresh. Now you can see our hello world from index part has been indented, since we have a column on the left and a column on the right with a space of 1, while a column in the middle has a space of 10. So that's how we set that up, and I'm going to end this tutorial here. So that's how we are able to set this up, and that's how template inheritance works in Java and Django. So in the next tutorial, we're going to go ahead and actually create a login page where the user is going to be able to log into the system. So guys, thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.